What's up? What's up? Poppers, floppers, rampagers, everybody in the chat, man. We're here, episode 2. It happened. It's one of the scenes as a gamer we've been waiting for. We were panicking last week about. There's a lot to get into with this. This might be more of a therapy session as opposed to a review. Maybe we're seeing that woman that Hoboload as well. But this is your main man, Zach, and the final boss, Knock. There's a lot to talk about, man. Zach, are you okay? Are you okay, man?
I got wrecked the day you made me play this scene live on stream here for the video game.
Check out the channel.
And last night, doing it again, it was so horrible. I was so gut-wrenched, Knock. I took off of work. I don't have a job, but still, I took off work.
Oh, man, that's a good one.
Oh, shit. This is a lot.
On a Sunday where we watched Cody Rhodes lose to a bad guy, John Cena, my Lakers lost, Joel, he got done. And we're gonna get into it again. It was a crazy episode. I thought it was a great episode. We're gonna get into the little specifics of it because there was a lot going on here, as opposed to just the game where it was just involved a few characters. Everybody was in trouble for this episode.
Yeah. If you know the game, comment and let us know your thoughts on it too, because like Knock likes to point out the differences between the video game and what's going on the show, because I'm in the middle of the first half of the game right now. So especially with what went on in the city, I'm not there yet, but I know what happens in the game. So we'll talk about that, and we'll give our grades, of course, at the end, what we thought. And holy crap. Whenever you want to get into it, Knock, I'm just...
Yeah, I'm definitely going to get into it. I still want to tee it up a little bit. Like you said, playing the game.
Tee it up. Golf.
Oh, God. I see him everywhere. I didn't mean that one. I didn't mean it, man. At this point, Oberyn Martell, Joel Miller, HBO has to hate Pedro at this point. But from the game playing this, one of the things I do want to emphasize, like I said last week, just to tie it into last week's review, check it out now if you haven't seen it. I said those scenes with Joel are really going to change once you get here. He's a regular guy now. He's just... And I seen a comment all put. We'll get to that later in the episode. But Joel, he's going to therapy sessions. He's the foreman of the community. He's playing with his nephew. I hate to say it seems like he was enjoying life. And another thing people got to realize too, just because Joel and Ellie were at odds, one of the things they do go into the game a lot more as well. They had 5 years. The whole 5 years after what had happened in the first game was not all bad. Their bond is forever. So this is going to be really gut-wrenching to see Ellie come out like this. Another thing, too, like that whole line they said in with Dina when she was dancing with Ellie, she said, they should be terrified of you. And that, even in the game, like the way she sets it up, it seems like it just, just to boost her confidence. But like that's a real line that transcends throughout the game, and I believe what's going to happen in the show as well, Zach.
Okay. We're going to talk a lot about the comparison, especially Alt's comments. Thank you for commenting on that, because that's going to be a whole segment on how the view of the show from viewers who haven't played the game is going to affect it. Because Knock brought up a great point last week. Is it going to go the way of like the White Wedding or Ned Stark, or is it going to go the way with viewers of Negan? That was the best analogy, Knock.
Yeah.
And we'll see how it goes next week. This is the highest rated episode by fans on whatever score that is that the big fan was online of all the episodes. So fans are loving it after last night. We'll see if it changes after the episode, after the season ends. But that's another thing too, is my take on Ellie hasn't been that favorable this season. Will that change because of how she was written on the show compared to the game?
I will say this: when the game did come out, again, you had two different sides, two different camps. People that, if you went on the ride, how they told the story in the game, people started to bond with Abby, kind of see her side, go through with her. And that's kind of where I was at. I kind of felt like towards the end of the game, like I was completely sold at the story they were telling me. Some other people just straight up said, no, I'm not accepting this. They hated it completely. And they were just completely, they had the rage that Ellie's feeling. So we're going to see it, like you said. But just to get into it, Zach, as we jump in, we start off. My boy Joel, he went out early. The last time we saw on screen was him getting yelled at by Ellie after he pushed the guy who was, saying, things to her and Dina.
Yeah.
He went out early this morning to get a jump on patrol with Dina. And I believe they even mentioned before in the last episode that they were watching the movies together. I think they talked about it in the first game as well, where like there's certain movies that Joel's a huge movie guy. So
Yeah.
their bond is way different in the show than the game. Dina and Joel were a lot closer. So that switch, when we get to it, with her being there, that's going to make that whole journey with Ellie even more crazier and different than the game, because Dina was not that attached to it. She was there for Ellie. This is not like they're both there for Joel.
Yeah. Man, this right here, we talked about last week, what all started the game. This episode is how the game started, and it was so well done towards the game without being like fan serviced. Everything was very well done, even down to the dialogue. And then you get to the slight changes, and then you realize at the end of the episode why the slight changes are made. But man, filming in the cold. We're going to talk about the sequences and everything, but man, they filmed in the cold. If you watch the after show on Max, holy crap! I could feel the freezing cold as they're doing their scenes, and fuck, I do not miss winter.
No, not at all. Does it feel? Are they filming somewhere in like Vancouver in Canada anywhere? It kind of feels like they're somewhere out there, but I could be wrong. And like Zach said, starts here with Jesse coming to pick up Ellie for patrol. Ellie hints at Jesse while this was happening that her and Joel made up. They said, despite all the bad blood that they had a talk after the night that we did not see. That was off screen. And Jesse, I love the way he's playing the character. I feel like he has a lot of room to do his own thing with the character, as opposed to just following it to a T from the game. I said T again. I got to think of something else. But Zach, as we open it up, as someone who recently played the game, as someone who recently got his heart wrenched, how are you feeling at this point in the show, knowing what might be happening?
At this point, when they were this play-by-play to the game, I knew it was happening right when this scene started, because they even said the same dialogue and everything, and that's when I knew it was going to be a long night. I knew the episode was a little bit longer. And if you looked at socials, just because I do to kind of get some of the graphics and stuff for the show here, every picture that The Last of Us social media or Max posted said brace yourself. So I knew that this was it. But man, was I just like, it was nice knowing that, I guess, playing the game, because then you can just kind of take it all in, and just, you're not there for shock value. You're there to see how it's done on the screen.
Yeah. And I think there's certain things I think they did well. As we're going to move on here. This is one of the scenes that, so the cat's out of the bag. Zach is someone who played the game recently, first time. They kind of just threw it in your face of why she did it. I thought and I'm on the fence of whether I like the change or not, because when you play the game, finding out why she did it and who she was a huge like reveal, because it was all shock. It was like, what is going on? When the first trailer came out for Last of Us 2, people thought the scenes of Abby was like, oh, is that Abby's mother? Or is that Ellie's mother? Is Abby like, this like a flashback or something? Then you get into it and you find out who she is, and you're playing as her. So you're thinking, oh, she might just be another new character. We're going to meet each other, have a new group person. Cool. And then the shock happens. And then later in the game, you find out why. So here it is, Zach. Joel, in saving Ellie, and just when you play the game or you watch the show, just murdering everyone in the hospital, all the Fireflies, he killed the doctor, who's, you'll find out later on in the game and show, was working on a cure. He was the main person behind everything. But that was also her dad. And that is why she's so enraged.
How far into the game do they reveal this?
It's not too far after, I believe, where you might be. It should be coming up pretty soon. How many times have you played as Abby since the whole incident?
Just the one time.
Okay, one of those times you get back to her. It's kind of like this. It's like how they did it is like it's a dream. She's
okay.
Yeah, it's similar to this. She sees herself as she goes through that whole, like you go through the whole hospital, kind of like retracing the footsteps Joel did, and then you're coming in afterwards and you see, they show like where her dad was and her going in and seeing it, like kind of how they did this. So I knew what was going to happen. What I see, this was one of the spoiling shots in the trailer Her right there.
Yeah.
Once I saw that, I knew what was happening.
What did you think then? What was do you like how they did this, or do you prefer how the video game is, or do you think how the video game is would have even worked for the TV show going
I
long
think
term?
this worked. I think this worked because, again, just it's different timing, it's different pacing with the show as opposed to playing it. Here comes Abby. It's different. It's different pacing. So I think there's some things that I don't think worked. This is one of the ones I think did work.
Okay. I think at the very end of the season, we'll go down and break through everything. We'll go through and break down everything that is we like better for the game or the show. But just we'll do week by week too. But this I think worked for a television show, just like the reveal of Abby in the first episode, because this for a viewer makes it not go the way of Negan, because now there is this pay. Now they showed the flashback. They're very heavy. If you follow them on social media last season, or if you watch their after show on it, the big thing that they hammered home was, did Joel do the right thing? And they made the viewer think that. And I'm like, holy crap, how many times are you going to ask me that? I think he did. Now this season shows you should have thought about that again. I really liked how they put this in there. I like that they did the dream sequence in there too, because I think if you do that later on, it doesn't work. But I'm a fan. I'm a fan. I didn't get spoiled, but this makes it work for me watching the television show.
Yeah. And I think at this point in time, because I knew it was going to happen. I played the game. But at this point in time, I was still on Abby's side. I think the way this show ends, and I said I was on Abby's side the whole time throughout the game. I'm starting to not be on her side. I'm starting to see her more as a villain. So at this point in time, my girlfriend's all aboard. She's like, okay, it's a new character. Cool. I'm still aboard too. Abby's cool. But there's some things that go down and some changes that switch my opinion. And then right here on the left side, we see her back in the cabin in the beginning of the episode where she's still trying to, there's a blizzard coming. And she's like, we got to get to Joel. We got to get to Jackson. We got to find him. We got to find him. And Owen says he's the plan. So it looks like Owen is typically the person who makes the plans, runs the group a little bit. And in her mind, he's coming with a plan. Just got to buy him some time. Owen, on the other hand, is like, nah, we got to get out of here. We're not staying around. So that was interesting to see that point, because we don't see that in the game. His it kind of seems like he just does whatever Abby wants. This one's kind of seemed like he's just trying to, please her, but he knows they can't be here anymore.
Right. Yeah, we'll talk about that when we get to a later slide, but I like that they gave Owen a character. They gave him, I guess you got to see what his personality was, and you did later on too when you get towards the end. Everyone who was there with Abby and Owen had they didn't seem like background. In the game, it just seems like a crew of background characters. Here, everyone got a little bit of personality and a little bit of point of view for their characters, which is nice. It made Abby seem even meaner.
Yeah, that's one of the things I'm saying. The changes. I felt like we'll get to it later, but Abby seemed a lot more vicious, a lot more like she was really enjoying doing this type of stuff. Like she was like really into it, like in a different way than the game. The game felt like revenge. This felt like, she started to love it.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Let me just ask one big question here, Knock. And anyone can comment if you think, and we would probably have to wait to see how the season ends to really answer this question. But it doesn't look like Caitlin Dever got the Abby physique. Are you cool with that? Or again, do we just need to wait to see how the season goes to see how they change it up to make it seem like she's menacing in some other way?
Yeah, I'm still in the waiting to see. So far, she's killing it, like with the acting. So she fits. She has a look and she fits. The whole physique thing. When we get to more of the fight scenes and more of like stuff that happened deeper in the episode or the season, I'm gonna have to wait and see, because I'm just not fully sure yet.
Okay.
Just because like Abby was so menacing and she was such a force, like I said before. So I got to see how they change it up. One of the things that they did, I said, like she seems like she's loving being the bad guy a little bit, loving doing the vicious, dirty work. So if they go with that route more, because in the game, Abby was a little more just, all right, we got to take out Joel. No one else gets hurt. I don't want to hurt nobody. And this, so far, she already talked about like if they took someone from patrol, we're gonna not hurt them, but we actually are gonna hurt them if we have to. So she seems like she's a little more vicious than in the game.
Okay. I'm excited to see where it goes because,
Yeah.
Playing the game, when you first see her being like that huge, that's menacing because you don't really see that. A lot of people look the same in TV shows and video games and everything. And Abby in the video game, holy crap, was that just different? Sophia, thank you for the comment. That's really awesome. Did you watch The Last of Us? Did it break your heart like it broke ours?
It was devastating. And then I want to get on here the people that run Jackson, Tommy and his wife Maria. You know, in the beginning, there's talking about, there's a blizzard coming. We got to get to the drills, get everyone on the same page. And one of the things they hinted in the game, Zach, was that Jackson is used to, or like they're trained for being attacked by raiders or hordes, or like this is stuff that happens pretty often. And they've gone through some of this stuff before. So I was glad we got to kind of see it in the show. We didn't get to see it. We just heard about it in passing in the game. So now we see the plan in action. We see some of the stuff they have to get through and how things work. And Maria and Tommy, they're going to put the plan together, Zach, but they're also going to put it to work. And I know at the end of the day, this is a loss for our team, our friends that we watch. But these two are the MVPs. As far as holding down Jackson, they were the MVPs, Zach.
This was great to see, and to see them scared too. That was a big thing because, man, a lot of layers to these characters after that. They like you said, they had the plan. They were in the thick of it themselves, and they got in trouble, and they were scared of it too because, man, can I ask, does this happen in the game?
This does not.
This
does not at all. And like I've told people before, like you'll get to see Tommy be very capable, but that's more so when he we said because in the game, he goes after the people in Seattle. We get to see him be capable that way, but not actually being a leader in his force like this in Jackson, like, showing his capabilities here. We don't get to see that in the game at all.
Okay. This is good. Remind me at the end here when we talk about Alt's comment, because this plays a big part in Alt's comment too.
Okay. And then Maria too, in the game, we don't get to see her be this capable. She's handling herself with the gun, and she killed it. This is one of the changes I really liked. I thought this was really well done. And if Tommy wasn't going to be there with Joel, this was the perfect thing for him to be doing because he was still in danger as well. Yeah.
And if he does go after everyone, like in the game, it's kind of funny when you got to clean everything up. He's like, I got this other thing to do. Take care of the shit work.
Yeah. So, and then again, Tommy out here being the MVP he was. Shout out to this guy, man. Gabriel Luna, I believe his name is.
Yeah.
Awesome. I loved all these shots. Some of this felt honestly like the way they shoot. I know it's HBO, but it felt like Game of Thrones. In its own way, it felt like the way the action was going. It felt like one of those badass scenes Jon Snow would have, where he's just cutting through people. This was incredible. This whole thing was incredible.
This was great. And like you said, Game of Thrones, especially on the wall.
Yes,
a lot of stuff like that. I'm sure HBO will love to get back on their station, but this, man, everything about this episode definitely needed it because they can have a cool down episode and it's not going to turn people off, right?
Yeah.
Because we need that. We need to get back. We need to make sure everyone's good and see where they're going next. And then it won't feel like a filler episode. But holy crap, man. Palms are sweaty watching this because I didn't know if the bloater was going to walk through because they're making these changes as playing the game. I know it didn't happen. So I don't know who's going to die actually now.
That's the thing too. And I was, again, this is all new information for me. One of the things that happens in the game, though, I don't know if you remember, Zach, but those bloaters tend to, blow up and they have their spores spread everywhere. I know there's no spores in the show, but I was curious to see what would happen if he would blow up, if Tommy would be in trouble. Even if we killed him, would he still be in trouble from the, bloater exploding or something? And he felt like a tank. I love the makeup crew, whoever's doing everything, putting this stuff together. It all feels real. Even when Tommy was on the line, they got backed up with the flamethrowers. Two of them started to run away. Like, it all felt legit.
Yeah, this is great. I love the set too. When he was walking through the alley, everything just felt like, I don't know, man. It was just very well done. I love this action sequence. The dogs, everything was just thought out of like how this town would be. Yeah, everything was good. The CGI, there's a lot of CGI in here, but that's fine because there's a lot going on.
Mm-hmm. It worked because for me, it felt pretty natural. And even in the beginning episode, when Owen and them and the whole crew is scouting Jackson, they see everything. Like, oh, well, these people are clearly military trained. They got dogs. They got this. It just shows you, how much of a fortress Jackson is. It's actually pretty locked down. They got it running pretty well.
Yeah.
So yeah, great. I thought all these scenes are great, and this is the stuff that's gonna make me want to rewatch this episode because I'm not gonna want to rewatch it because of the ending. Can't go through that too many times. But this stuff right here, the action set pieces are incredible. Again, right here, seeing that bloater come at you, just being so massive, and that just shows you the different stages of the enemies in the game. You make these different enemy types just to make it fun and different, but there actually is some lore to it with the different stages of being infected. Whether you become a runner at first. You can become a stalker next, just a straight up clicker. Bloater is like years and years of being infected. You get to that level.
Yeah.
So it's just cool how they do that, and we get to finally see it on screen because I love the more action. They said they promised us more infected, and we're getting it.
Damn right. Being a bloater is like when you know something's wrong, but take years to go to CVS and get your stuff. But the great thing about this was too, this also goes into the sneaky one that almost got Ellie last week.
Yeah, the stalker.
Because they're all hiding the stalker because now they're all hiding out underneath other dead bodies. They're smart. They're growing, and such a smart thing that you made us realize last week. Since there are no spores, they use like the vines and like they're all part of a system like a tree trunk. Yeah. So when the vines get into the pipe and they clear them out in this episode, and they're aware, you see every clicker and everyone switch positions and they start going towards the town because hive mind, and they all switch. So I thought that was a nice touch, and it made sense for them to get off the action of Abby, Joel, and Dina.
It is. And at first I was like, how are you not gonna have the spores, man? That's like a whole big thing about it. The way they're doing it, I like it. And I don't know which one I like better, but the change works for the show. I'm not mad at it at all.
Yeah. No.
I'll even tease this for you, Zach. Anyone else who plays the game or wants to know the show, the bloater is actually not the last level you can get to. I will say that. Okay. It's not the boss level. He's like the underboss.
All right.
I will say that. And just continuing here, as we're seeing both sides. Joel, he eventually gets to see that Jackson's in trouble, and he just wants to get back there to help. He's in trouble himself. The radio frequency, the report is saying everyone just take shelter. The blizzard is bad, and he wants to get back to help. His brother, his nephews, everything he cares about is there. Another important scene, Zach, before I really get into this slide real quick. Last episode, Maria was talking to Joel about trying to get everything fixed so we can get more people in here. And the last thing she said to him before that scene ended was, "You were a refugee also." So Joel in his head had his mind like we have another possible refugee. He just saves this girl out in the wilderness by herself. Oh my goodness! Hey, we're good. We have a place here. Oh, you can help us out. Perfect. We'll go get your people. We'll go back over here. You help out. We'll get you some food, blankets, shelter. We're good. You can join the community. That's what he's thinking right now. Because if you play the first game, remember that scene where he's driving with Ellie and he's like, "Oh no, these guys don't stop for them. Don't stop for them." Smugglers or raiders. That's the Joel of Survivor and 20 years of like on the grind. This Joel, his feet are kicked back up. He's not laid back, but like his guard is completely down. That's the thing people got to understand. His guard is down.
That's right. He's soft, and those words killed him. I'm just saying, without those words, he would have. No, this wouldn't have happened. We'd have a different show. Terrible.
Yeah. And you just recently played it. How was this scene, seeing how 1-for-1 the Abby stuff was running through that gate? That was one of the things that freaked me out playing the game. It was crazy.
It's so condensed, obviously, but this is the one thing that I'm glad that they put in. And Caitlin did such a good job, and they did such a good job at showing like the hands trying to go through the fencing and all this stuff because they don't feel pain and all this. This is the one I'm glad that they put in there because you get the running, you get the wide shots, and you get the more heavy blizzard. So they're actually in a snowstorm, and they add a little bit to it just because the game is it's crazy snowstorm. This is the one scene though where you're crawling through, and when you go through scenes that aren't cut scenes but they're different from regular scenes, and you got to keep your hands on the button because you don't know if you need a gun or a knife or whatever. That's what it is through this. You don't know when you need to react, and you feel that in this episode. So I'm very glad they put the fencing part in here.
I'm glad you mentioned that where they don't feel the pain they try to stick their hands through, because my girlfriend actually cringed at that part. She's like, "Oh my gosh!" And it was just little thing, little detail, and just adds to it. So eventually, she makes it through. We have this 1-for-1 shot scene where Joel saves her life, but as opposed to her finding out he's Joel when they get back to it, she finds out right away from Dina saying Joel a million times, Joel, 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 we got to do this. I felt they might have, was a little too on the nose with that. But you've seen the change, you've seen her react, and her only goal, as opposed to in the game, she wanted them to get back to her people just so they could be safe. And here, she manipulated them to go back to their people because she knew she wanted to kill them.
I gotta say, I like this better than the game, just because for the television show, they added the city being on fire that he could see, right?
Yeah.
So she knew it was just nicer because it let her formulate a plan. If she's not going to be big buff Abby, then it lets you realize, wait a minute, she's going to scheme and formulate a plan. And now this is where you see how devious she is. So I'm glad they did this for the show, Dina and Joel kind of reacting to the fire, which they didn't have in the game, which wasn't even Dina. It was Tommy. So it's a good switch, especially for television, again, for television viewers, because they're not going to play as Abby to see this twitch in her head go.
Okay. You made me like that a little more, because I liked it more in the game, because I got to see it felt like just a natural bond. Come together, people, you're all trying to survive. No politics, no nothing, just trying to survive. We got to work together. And then she finds out later, and we see that switch. We're like, oh, this guy just saved my life, but I still want to go through with this. Revenge is still on her mind. So I like that for the game, but the way you explain it too for the show, this does work better. Okay, I can see that.
In the game, I just got to say, it wasn't forced. I thought it was well done, but it was also like, when I was playing it, I was like, this could be any Joel. This could be Joel Rubenstein. Like, you don't know which Joel this really is, but it works. But yeah,
that's a good point. And then she finally gets them. They get into the lion's den, if you will.
Yes.
She gets him in there. How was this set up? Because she felt like a true villain. There's no playing both sides. There's no in between. Just a straight up villain.
Everything was calculated when she got into it. When she says the names and this is Joel, and then it clicks in everybody's head because everyone knew the plan. I saw some people online say they like the game better because you're in the basement and it feels like you're in a lower level of hell, especially with how it's like it's looking. And here it's so bright and you got the big windows. But again, we're redoing this for the television show. We gave Joel something else over here with the city on fire that he needs to pay attention to. So you see that in the window in the background. So you got the other storyline in certain shots when you're also dealing with this. So now this is even more in the background. How they did it just frames what was his priority is now not his priority, and trying to stay alive is going to be his priority. I thought it was well done. And of course, for television, you do need more light in intense scenes like this. So plus it's a beautiful cabin. I love the scenery.
Yeah, I don't know what they did with this cabin, how they find it, if they built it, but for the show, this worked a lot better to do it this way. It's supposed to be in a basement, like you said, to have that in your mind of what's going on, the thread out here, and have it just close in here with the windows. I thought it was really well done. The lighting, not to mention, just the spacing. You have all these different characters in here. It's different to space stuff for a game. You can do whatever you want, but for the spacing and your lighting you need for a show, this worked perfectly. One thing they did in the game where I thought it was really good. Once Tommy slipped up and said, "Hey, that's my brother Joel," you seen it click for everybody? And then he's like, you act like you guys heard of me or something. I was waiting for him to say something like that, and then when she was giving this long speech, I was waiting for Joel to be like, "Just shut up and get it over with," or like he did say that, but he said something along the lines in the game. He said something like, "What did he say?" He's like, "Whatever speech you rehearsed or something." He said something like that, and I just thought it was a cool line, but. The way she explained it here, that was the big change, Zach. Do you like the explanation?
I do, and I didn't mind being spoiled by this because, again, it brings you back to the first season. It makes the time you invested in the show mean something now. It makes her mean something because you invested a full season in this show. So I think this was very smart. Again, like you said, I don't think the fans are going to go the way of Negan on this because of how they did it. I thought it was smart.
No, and I think you're right. I think this was like the best. It's a highly rated episode. It's really, really good. And the whole issue with the Negan The Walking Dead thing was it ended on a cliffhanger, and you found out the next season what was going to happen. You had to wait all that time. And then when that season happened, that season just dragged. It was such a dragging season. That would really.
So I tapped out.
Yeah. With this, it's really the beginning of the season. This is going to set up the rest of the season. And after this, it's going to be fireworks after fireworks after fireworks. It's going to be crazy. Okay. So the change I did here, I wonder if it was like a director's, if there was a direction from the director, or just the way they both played it. But not only did Abby feel more like a villain and more devious, Joel felt way more like he didn't want to go. Like in the game, he could have cared less. He was like, whatever, just do it, just get it over with.
Right.
And here he felt like, he felt like, I don't know, it felt like he was more of a victim. I felt even more worse for him. Like he felt a little helpless. I don't know, man. He's more sympathetic in the show, the way Pedro played it, whatever they did. But like you said, he put his hands up. I never seen Joel do that in his life. Like,
right.
This was hard. This was hard. This was difficult, man. This was difficult to watch.
I don't know where you want to go with this next, but my whole response to you has to do with Alt's comments and how this is all set up and how it changes everything. So again, once we get to that comment, everything that was done like this is set up for TV viewers. So
yeah,
that's
and then real quick, just to finish this off, like we had, first of all, this dude who's sticking up, I believe his name is Ramirez. He's sticking up Dina. He's not my Falcon anymore. He's the new Falcon, and he's out here doing this to Dora the Explorer. I'm so upset. I'm so upset.
Maybe he'll die.
They drugged her.
Only for an hour, okay?
Did you see her on that horse in the episode, bro? That was not an hour. She was still drunk.
Look, Ellie was high when she came in the game. She's not in here. So
Good
that
change.
Makes a lot of difference
better,
too. So I want to say that, yeah. I thought that was actually a good change because you can't do this whole stuff in there. And then we'll talk about why it matters having Dina with Joel rather than do all the stuff that was in the game.
Yeah. Great scene, great setup. I don't know if I'll be able to rewatch this because it was so crazy. But the way they played it, and then instead of Jesse coming and finding Dina and Ellie and getting that information there, they found it on the radio, and Ellie's just like, we gotta go. They break up to their spots. And then again, my boy Joel Pedro killed this man. The emotion in his face. He played Joel even in season 1 so subtly, like with certain things he would do, and like this was. I was in tears. I'll let you guys know. I was in tears for this. This was very hard for me to watch, and I knew what was going to happen. I played this game 5 years ago. I knew exactly what was going to happen, and it got me. They got me. Ellie barges in. Zach, you knew it was coming. How was this playing out for you?
I like this. This made me not like the opening scene in the last episode where she beat that big dude up because now she got taken down by people who don't seem as menacing.
Oh yeah.
So that scene I just thought was very unnecessary in the first episode. It's like more violence for violence sake. But everything in here plays out well. I like that her and Jesse split up. This makes sense for her character to find, and it made them. It made him come back around at the end more poetic when they're doing the wide shots and everything else. So this was just good though because it also showed that everyone on Abby's team is on the same team. Maybe not all loving the way Abby's doing everything, but they want the goal, they want it done, and then they can move on. Yeah,
and again, you can see everyone's individual reactions. Nora right here, how she feels. She's capable and willing to do stuff. Mel is she seems like she completely gets it. She didn't want to drug nobody. She didn't want to, she seems like she want to be here. She's an accomplice and she does not want to be here. Owen's like, he clearly has feelings for Abby. He's going to comply. Ramirez, he seems like a hothead. He was like, he's completely on board. And then it happens, Zach. Oh. And then they rip your heart out again on the show. I thought this is worse. The whole golf club stuff ending was crazy, but it cut to black. Ellie was cut to black. This time, Ellie was watching it happen. And we know what they emphasize even more, Zach? Ellie watched it happen, and when she was talking to him, Joel was still alive. He was still hearing her. He saw her. He watched her watch him die. Bro. Then the freaking knife shot to the back of the neck. Oh my gosh. This was gut-wrenching. Whatever people say about Bella, last thing before I throw it to you, man. People say she was miscast, all this type of stuff. People owe her an apology because I'm going to start calling her like John Cena. She's big match, big scene Bella. That's what I'm going to call her because when it's come down to get to that acting, what we're really here for, get to the grind, to the work, Bella delivers. Bella knows how to deliver a scene, man. They said, hey, Bella, we need you to do this. She's, all right, I'm going to knock it out the park. She is Otani to the plate. She is so good. like from her voice, her pitch, how she would break up a little bit there, her facial expressions. This was incredible. They will nominate her for an award for this scene alone.
This was really good. This hit very hard.
Yeah.
I hope this and Dina being there as well changes those two characters. Again, I don't like how they're written the first episode. I actually think it's very annoying to watch. So I hope they're not like that going forward. And maybe that was the plan.
I think
because I don't think it's the acting, obviously, it's how they're written. They're reading lines and they're giving direction clearly. So I hope that was the game plan, is to make them seem kind of a little bratty and whatever. And now this changes them and then they go on this journey. This scene, man, like you said, you saw Joel fade. You saw him watch her watch him.
Yeah.
Both of them are extreme and hard to watch for different reasons. The game, how it happened in the game with the club, the actual club, to me was very tough because that's a blunt way to go out, and you don't know how long that took. Same with this one, though. It's different, but it looks a little nicer for TV when the broken in half club goes in the neck. But that one's also a little more clear cut, because now you know, especially that last shot, you see the blood going over. The change was, again, great for TV, and just seeing Bella deliver, oh man, the top right facial shot is piercing, because even a little bit of her was like, all right, no, we'll fix him, we can go, we can get back, and whatever, we can craft a kit. I don't know what we're gonna do, but we can fix Joel.
Yeah.
And nothing. And then they do that other shot that I know we got a slide of it we'll get to, but just everything about this was so well done and so well handled. I hope the whole team gets nominated in some way, shape, or form for Emmys for this.
They have to. And that's the thing, like, we're used to seeing things like this. Like, you go to the tipping point and then it works out. Like, okay, we're good. Right. You have that sigh of relief. And then they just push you overboard. The cup overflows. Like, you just get thrown out there. This was rough, man. This was really rough. Again, all the credit to Bella Ramsey. She was a good choice to play Ellie, because she absolutely killed it. These are the scenes, like, she's just so good at. Caitlin Dever, Pedro Pascal, everyone that played this role was just so well done. And the last thing I'll say is, like, again, the makeup team, because the way Pedro looked just looked like the game, exactly how they did.
Did you watch the after show?
I did actually this time.
Yeah, the eye thing, how they did his beat up eye, like, that's the shit that just, like, matters, like the fine detail on here, adding to that. And Pedro, it's their relationship too off screen that you can see in the premieres and everywhere else. It's just like, you can show, you can totally tell. And even when we watch the after show, you talk to Caitlin and you show Pedro and how they're interacting when the camera's not on. Like, these are the things that just make you, like, I guess, feel when you're doing these scenes as an actor, because you're saying goodbye.
Yeah.
You know you're saying goodbye, and it's just, I think everything was delivered, but especially with Bella Ramsey and Pedro, it's just like, this is your goodbye. That's got to be tough, because you made a lifelong friend.
You did. I do want to know what order they filmed these scenes in. Like, was this his last scene on the show, or did they do some other stuff? You know, because, again, this must be a real hard day, man. I wonder how many takes this took, because it's just gut wrenching. And one thing you had mentioned, like, real quick, you mentioned how Dina and Ellie were portrayed in the first episode. I'm letting everyone know now, if you haven't played the game, if you don't know what's going to happen, this is going to get very, very dark. This show is going to get very, very dark. So I think I didn't realize this at first, but going that bratty route, like you said, and going, like, completely, like, showing that baseline how they were, so where they're about to be by the end of the season, I think that's why they might have went a little extreme with how they were.
Okay.
I think that's why. But yeah, brutal stuff here. And then we move on. Just showing some shots of I saw this picture around of some shot of Abby. Again, she looks the part, looks great. They're just obviously the muscles. But we're getting that vicious side of Abby.
That's what we need to see. I gotta find time to jump on this game. Damn you, WrestleMania weekend. But
it was a crazy week.
I want to get on this to get more in depth with Abby before the next episode, because I just want to get to the layers, and I think Caitlin understands the layers. I think I just wonder how much of the script that they are informed about, because Pedro said when they were doing last season that he knew that he died, or was it Bella said that he knew that?
Bella knew too.
Bella. Okay, so that's. I just wonder how much they know of their characters going forward or whatever. But side note too, before you made me play this part in the video game for the live stream, I heard that obviously Pedro wasn't going to be this much in the season. I didn't put two and two together. I just thought, of course, he's filming Fantastic Four. He's got these other two movies. Why, he's a busy man. He'll be back for season 3.
Yeah.
Nope.
Man. Yeah, it's crazy. And then just a last shot of here when they were leaving Jackson, mission accomplished. Just she got a check mark. She got her badge. She's going back. I can't wait till you guys get to see Seattle a little more and their group. It's similar to how Jackson is, but again, she mentioned this is the first time she mentioned it. She mentioned it in the game. They have a code. That code is very important to that group, but it is not always held up. Not just by them, but just by other people in that group. So you get to see a lot of crazy dynamics. I don't know if you've seen the guy that plays Isaac, Zach. He's the main leader of the group. I forget his name.
I think
Jeffrey Wright.
There.
Jeffrey Wright plays him.
Yes,
I'm very curious to see how he plays him because that's a really good role for him, I think. So we'll see how this goes. And going here, I put this in here. It's later in the game. I put it in here because slight spoiler, not real spoiler, but this part in the game I thought was really beautiful because you're going through it, just a ton of revenge. When you play the first game, you have that draft scene with Joel and Ellie, just to kind of like get that break in between all the craziness going on. This is an optional cutscene, by the way. This doesn't happen. There's certain parts in the game where you get to play the guitar because Ellie can play the guitar because Joel taught her, and you get to actually do it on the controller. While Dina and Ellie are running around in one of these buildings, she kind of just I think they find like a music store, an old music store, and Ellie just sits down and plays an old song that Joel taught her. Dina's like a different room. She comes in and she listens to her, and it's just a completely optional. You can miss this whole scene. I just thought it was really beautiful. And the girl that plays Ellie in the game, Ashley Johnson, she's incredible. And we're gonna get to her later on in this review. But this scene right here, while you're going through all this revenge and like darkness and sadness, it was a beautiful scene.
You get Ellie unplugged and she only plays David Bowie covers. Son, happy Easter Monday, buddy. Mr. All Power, how are you doing? What an episode, man! If I can plug my Guitar Hero guitar into this, I'm in.
Yeah. And then this scene again, I put this one back in here just because, like Dina said, they should be terrified of you, and that's going to echo throughout this season. You're going to get, and I put this for a reason. You know why I put this? Because you're getting the complete. We saw Joel in episode 1 before things happened. Ellie was born in this madness, and you're about to see that final piece of her snap. She's lost everybody. She just said, right? She lost Riley. Yeah. Now she just lost Joel. We're getting this Ellie. Ooh. That Ellie right there to the right. It's gonna get real dark, everybody. Prepare yourself. We're getting darkness right here. Vengeance is coming. And as Abby was training those 5 years, she just did what was done to her to Ellie. And now we're about to see revenge.
Oh man. Before we get into this scene, I just want to go back. See the background actor on the right. They're having a good time. They know how to do background work. Guy on the left. He's got to catch a case.
Come on, man. That's 101 right
there. All right. Let's get into the non-funny part.
Yeah. We need this. This is a heavy episode.
This was gorgeous. This was
incredible. Crane shot.
They left them alone. Yeah, they said they had the crane for one day and they wanted to get this shot. Again, great use of this cabin. Not only the light, not only keeping the city on fire in the background, so the viewer has all these things in mind. The placement, like you said, of all of Abby's people, and using this then after they leave them alone. Don't even care about you, Ellie. We got Joel, and then seeing these two in their final shot together, man. This is so beautifully well done.
Yeah. In the game, they knocked Ellie out. She was unconscious. Dina and Jesse came to get her. So the part that really got me in the game is when they knocked her out. But right before they knocked her out, she screams no. And the way Ashley Johnson's voice cracks, like, got me. And it cuts to black. This is why, like, people complain and nitpick about certain things, but you can't complain about them changing certain things for the show. Like, this doesn't work in the basement. This shot does not work in the basement. You get this height, you get this stuff because you found a nice cabin, found a nice spot. And I will say this, as a person who loves the game, this was a better ending to that scene than it cut into black. This was incredible. And I think it went silent too, right, Zach?
Yeah, especially because you're just sitting there watching them as the
Yeah.
blood fades out and lets the viewer know that's it. It's a wrap.
This is rough.
This isn't The Walking Dead.
This is rough.
This is
incredible stuff from the team there doing that. And I just put this in there because we need some happiness here. It was a brutal show. We got some pictures of Pedro and Bella on the Last of Us premiere, and then top right there from last season, Joel and Ellie riding on a horse. This scene in the middle should be coming up in the show. I don't think this has happened yet, where Joel was showing Ellie how to play the guitar. Bottom again, Joel and Ellie being at the restaurant there. We got the scene from earlier in the episode, Joel and Dina, and then of course Joel and his brother. That's another one that's going to hit very heavy.
So I haven't seen anything about Tommy with the repercussions of Joel, so that's coming up for me.
Oh, okay.
I think pretty soon.
You just know he just left, right? That whole thing.
Yes. They're on his trail,
going Rambo.
Yeah. Oh yeah, man,
Tommy's no joke. Before I throw it to you, do you see that last part when Tommy went to Maria? Was that because of all the craziness that happened at Jackson, or do you think he actually found out about Joel?
I think that was the craziness, because you actually see Maria holding him up too, which is nice because
he just clapped his wife.
That's not even the Joel stuff. So I think that's another part for next week to not be a filler episode, because you get all this repercussion. So
that was the thing that got me. While we cut from that scene with Joel and Ellie, that crane shot, then we went to the scene where Jesse finally got them. Dina's still drugged up on the horse, and and Jesse's riding back with Ellie. That was rough. And you see Ellie just looking back. She looked completely out of it. That was insane.
That was really, really tough to watch for me. Personal thing that mirrored in my life, and I was just like, that really hit. So well done, Bella Ramsey, on that part with the eyes, and done really hit.
Yeah.
All right. We love when you comment on our stuff. If you're not watching live, please comment on any of our videos. We absolutely love it. We read everything because we do care about what you have to say. This comes from one of our favorite people from the channel that has subscribed and hits the like button. Alt Cunningham 2789. I mostly agree with you. This is his comment from our episode 1 that we did last week. I mostly agree with you about Joel, but to add on to it, one thing people have to realize is point of view, and I know everyone loves the first game, and in the show we all love Pedro, but Joel is not a good person, and he's never had to own up to his actions or face any consequences. Did he save Ellie? Yes, but at what price? And he just tried to wash his hands of all the bad he's done. He can't even admit it to himself. Let's face it, people, Joel is so broken.
Oh, damn.
But it's the truth.
It is. But... Go ahead. You got it.
I just want to bring this up. This is such a good comment to bring up because of how it differs. The scene differs from the show to the game. Because one of the best points is that we love Joel in here because of Pedro. Mm-hmm. We love Joel in the game because we get to play as him. We kind of feel like a part of him, right? But in the show, it's Pedro. Other things that they gave him that are going to make this very tough for people to watch is the fact that it's not his brother by his side. It is Dina, a younger woman that could be another daughter figure for him. He is more, what did you call him now? He's not like all bitter and like he hasn't given up. He's a little more like enjoying life now. So he does care about the people around him. So that is why giving him in the background, the city burning where his new life is, where his brother is, that makes him more human too and make us like him more because he cares about people now. He's not just the Joel we played in the video game. And there's something else I wanted to bring up, but mainly Dina and the city being added to the storyline in the TV show is why this comment is very important to bring up for a discussion. So if anyone wants a discussion on why this is different from the video game, those, in my opinion, were big changes here because it makes Joel / Pedro, who we all love, this this makes it so different. And this makes it so, again, to reference your great comment last week, it makes it so not Negan the Walking Dead, because they added these elements of things that we can love about Joel, even though those of us who played the game know he kind of is a bad guy.
Yeah, that's the thing. I'm glad I'm guessing all played the game as well, because that's kind of like the discourse that happened. Again, so many people like that hated the game and were like bashing it was because Joel died. And some of the defense for that was because people said he was a bad guy. And I think because I was so shocked playing this that this happened, I was like, you know what, you're right, he is a bad guy. But at the same time, bro, we played as him, we grew with him, we went through that whole journey together. It was difficult. So I think for me that was like a coping mechanism for the game. Like to say, oh yeah, he's a bad guy. It's justified. But it was still hard. I wanted to see Joel and Ellie right off to the sunset. And the game could have ended with part 1, and this would have never happened. We'd have never knew. So I think Alt makes a great point. Because again, like, that's one of the things what was so brilliant and what made Last of Us 2 Part 2 so polarizing is because there's so many different arguments you can make. Like, it feels like you're talking about like a real person, something really happening, because it's a story about revenge and like how it affects you and how it just makes you blind to like all the goodness in your life that could still be going on. Then it's a story about like what the like morals. Morals is such a huge thing. Like, yes, Joel saved his daughter, like you said, but he also killed Abby's dad, which led to this, led to this, led to this. So it just shows you like that cycle. So it's just so much that they touch on, whether intentionally or not, that just sparks such discussion. That's why I think this is making such a great show right now.
Yeah. I do believe the changes in here were strategically done to make Joel more likable, to set up more of a conflict and make us root for Ellie more. And again, hopefully change the way Ellie is going forward. But yeah, this is very complex, and I love that there are complexities to a video game nowadays. Look, man, when you get older, everything that you grew up with is the greatest, right? But video games, in my opinion, have only gotten better and better and better. Every year is just, there's so much depth and everything to them, except for now because PlayStation doesn't release video games anymore. But this is so great. I love this comment. Thank you for your comment. Great insight. And please comment on everything again, because comments like this make our videos that much more rich.
Yeah. Man, well, that was episode 2. Episode 3 is coming out next week, and we're all going to need to keep watching, get a sigh of relief for something, but I'm letting you guys know, man, it's going to just keep going up from here. Great episode. Great comments. Everyone jump in the chat. Really appreciate it. Keep commenting and let us know, even after we end the stream, let us know in the comments what you guys thought. Now it's time for the score. Zach, episode 2, season 2, Last of Us. Out of 10, man, what you got?
Last week's I gave like a 7.7. This one out of 10. Even as someone who's just recently played the video game and can really be picky about how much I love that video game, man, it's so good. I'm going to give this a 9.5.
Ooh.
A 9.5, just because the only reason it's not a 10 is just because I do believe maybe a little bit more time spent soaking in Abby, because it was just so good just to see this new character be such a mainstay in this storyline. But that's the only reason. Just my little nitpick. This episode was great. I loved every bit of it from front to back, from mirroring the video game to breaking my heart once again. And everyone delivered. I don't care what part of the crew you are on. If you're in front of the camera or behind it, this was just so well done.
I'm gonna go a 10 out of 10.
Ooh.
And this is all relative towards the show. Of like, you gotta have different scores for different shows. And I'm saying 10 out of 10 because I truly believe years from now, when people look back on this show, they will reference this episode. This is like their freaking Battle of the Bastards. This is like that episode, I believe. We'll see at the end of the season where this might rank, because I heard a lot of things about episode 6 being great too.
Yes.
But I'm giving 10 out of 10, man. I mean, they hit every beat. I knew what was going to happen, and I was still broken. So, yeah. And then the action, great changes. I love the action. So 10 out of 10 for me. I really enjoyed this therapy session because I still needed it, because I'm still like messed up about what happened even in the game I played years ago.
So if you still have Zaddy issues with losing Pedro, please comment and let us know.
I didn't say all that.
What's his nickname online?
But it is cool, like you said. You made a great point saying they're trying to make Pedro more likable, to make Ellie more likable, and have that more differentiated. Because in the game, it's hard to. It was hard for me to pick who I was rooting for at certain times.
Okay.
So I think you're right about that. Trying to separate them from being too close to, like, because they are similar characters. But besides that, 10 out of 10 for me. Let us know in the chat what you guys thought. Zach, any more last things you want to add to The Last of Us episode 2?
I don't think so. I think this bit of this character, seeing him die twice in about a month, has ruined me. I need to go back to Miss Pac-Man and Pong, back in the days where emotions weren't on the line like this.
Hey, as bad as this is for Pedro, he's about to be Mr. Fantastic.
That's true.
He's killing it right now. So shout out to Pedro. Hopefully you get Galactus. Great. I'm glad he was Joel. I will say that. He was a great Joel.
Very good, Joel. Hell yeah.
So shout out to everybody in chat, man. We'll be back next Monday for episode 3. So to all the poppers, the floppers, and the rampagers, hopefully next week is more happy. But we enjoy you guys jumping in the chats. Peace out, y'all, and we'll see you next week.